Hello and welcome to the Rugby Roundup, October 23rd, 2024. My name's Big Mike. Now let's talk some rugby. In this week's show, we are talking club rugby and results around the world, as there were no major international games last weekend. But we do look forward to the first big international clash of our autumn up north, and more importantly, our spring down south. Now, as always, if you'd like me to talk about games or competitions anywhere around the world, please let me know on YouTube at Big Mike Sports and at Instagram at Big Mike Sports NZ. Now let's get to the roundup. We are going to start in New Zealand's NPC semi-finals over the weekend. Our team that we wanted to win so badly, Bay of Plenty, played against Canterbury. The score at half-time, 13-8 to Canterbury. The final score in this one, 32-20 to the Bay of Plenty. Demers! They have charged their way into the final. It is their first ever final in the top division. But who are they going to play this week? Well, the winner of the Wellington-Waikato match. At halftime, this was 17-15 to Waikato. At full time, top of the table, Wellington had taken this one, 29-24, meaning that this week's final is going to be in Wellington, first versus fourth on the table. Wellington versus Bay of Plenty. Now, in New Zealand's second-ish division, in the Heartland Championship, in the Meads Cup, Thames Valley Mid-Canterbury, last week Mid-Canterbury did defeat South Canterbury. First loss for them since 2019. Final score in the big one, Thames Valley 37, Mid-Canterbury 29. Now, in the whoa, fly just flew into my mouth, sorry about that. In the Lahore Cup, that's actually quite tricky to say. It was King Country versus the West Coast. At full time, at the 80-minute mark, 34 all. Half-time and extra time, 39-37, King Country over the West Coast. Final score in this one, after 100 minutes of Heartland Championship rugby in New Zealand, King Country taking it 46-44. Now into the URC. Leinster and Lions are the last two unbeaten squads. Leinster beating Connacht 33-12 and the Lions just scraping through to beat Zebre 10-9. In third place in the URC, we've got the Glasgow Warriors, who went down to the Sharks 28-24 on the weekend, and the Bulls went down to the Scarlets. A red card late in this one cost the Bulls. Final score, Scarlets 23, the Bulls 22. Oh boy. Okay. Now in France's top 14, big game last weekend was La Rochelle versus Bordeaux. Final score in this one, La Rochelle 32, Bordeaux 22. Meaning that Bordeaux have been knocked off the top of the table, now sitting in second. La Rochelle are in third, and in first place, reclaiming their throne at the top, were Toulouse with a 22-14 win over Pau. And we've also got in fourth place Toulon, 30-17 over Montpellier. Now we do have our favourite team in the top 14 this season. Being Vannes, in their first time up the top, they played Clermont. Final score, Vannes 33, Clermont 55. English Premiership time, there were a few big games over the weekend, with my favourite being Newcastle and Exeter, two teams that had not won a game so far this season. It had been 581 days since the Newcastle Falcons had tasted victory. That is a very, very long time. Final score in this one, Exeter 18. Newcastle Falcon 24. First win in 581 days. How good is that? At the top of the table, we had Saracens versus Bristol playing off. This one, Bristol were up 35-34 in the 81st minute. In the 82nd minute, Saracens got up to take a penalty. If they got it, they win. If they missed it, they lost. Final score, Bristol 35, Saracens 37. Meaning that they are on top. Bristol are now sitting in 4th place. In 2nd place, after a 26-24 victory over Harlequins, we've got Bath. And in 3rd place, after a 29-26 win over Gloucester, is Leicester. How good is that? Now, we do have some international results. Last week, I did mention that Finland were playing in the men's and women's game. In the women's game, Finland 10, Germany 44. In the men's game, Norway 10, Finland 81. There have been a lot of games going on in the lower ranks of European international football that I have not been mentioning. There's just too many to count, but Lithuania are doing well. Also, the draw for the Women's World Cup next year has been announced. Last week they drew the pools. This week they announced the fixtures so we know which pools winners will be playing against whom. All of those good things. I will be doing a special episode on the Women's World Cup 2025 draw and who looks like they're going to play each other in the quarters and semi-finals. Now, that's enough for our roundup. Let's look at our fun fact for the week. I'm looking at the biggest international margins in men's rugby history. This one in 1995 was New Zealand 145 over Japan 17, which is a, come on brain, do some maths, 128 point differential between the two, but that was taken over a couple of times. But in the biggest way, in 2003 in the World Cup, you might remember this one. I can remember this one as a younger lad. Namibia 0, Australia 142. 6 teams have had their biggest loss being over 100 points, which is absolutely crazy. Wow. Okay, now looking forward to this week. We'll start with our big international game. In the men's game, it is the All Blacks versus Japan in Yokohama, New Zealand, Japan. Scott Robertson, Eddie Jones. Japan have not done too flash this year at all. But they were in that Pacific Nations Cup final where they lost to Fiji. New Zealand, on the other hand, have lost twice to South Africa in South Africa and once to Argentina. The New Zealand team has been announced, a lot of fresh faces, a lot of new blood, not because they're necessarily taking Japan lightly, but because in the next few weeks they have England, Ireland, and France. The captain for this week, I'm so excited about this, is my beautiful Blues captain, Patrick Tuipulotu. It's going to be a good one on Saturday. Well, Saturday, New Zealand and Australia and Japan time. Okay, in club rugby. This week, New Zealand NPC final, as I mentioned earlier, Wellington hosts Bay of Plenty. Can Bay of Plenty win their first final in the top league? Can they get their first championship since 1976, or will Wellington do what they did in 2022 and take the crown? It's going to be so fun. In the URC, we've got round 6 action. Oh, the 2 unbeaten teams, Lions and Leinster, will be going 1-on-1, 15-on-15, 23-on-23. Oh, mate, that's going to be fantastic. 3rd place Glasgow will be taking on the Stormers, and the Bulls, who currently sit in 4th, will be taking on the 8th placed Benetton. Now, in the top 14, we've got round 8. 1st place Toulouse will be playing Toulon, who are sitting in 4th. That one's going to be nice and juicy. 2nd place Bordeaux will be taking on Pau. La Rochelle, who are sitting in 3rd, take on Montpellier, and our favourite team, Vannes, going up against the 6th place Castries. Now, Premiership Rugby in England. We've got all teams currently sitting in the top 6 playing each other. Yes, is it that impressive? There's only 10 teams. Who knows? Anyway, the big games this week. 5th place Northampton taking on the 4th place Bristol Bears. 2nd place Bath taking on 6th place Sale Sharks. And 1st versus 3rd, we've got Saracens taking on Leicester this weekend. Oh boy, these games are going to be fun. Wow. And with that, we've got a shorter roundup this week once again. Things will be picking up next week. Next week, the Autumn Nations games are fully getting underway with England, Scotland and Fiji all picking up games next week. But before we get there, how about we talk about this weekend's big 3 games? If you've only got time to watch one, follow one, see one, whatever one, make sure it's one of these 3. In the URC, top of the table clash, the battle of the unbeaten Owls. It is the Lions taking on Leinster. In the top 14, the reason why I can't abbreviate the French teams, it's 2 versus 2. Toul versus Toul. Toulouse versus Toulon. And back home in my beautiful homeland of Aotearoa, New Zealand, the NPC final, last domestic game in New Zealand before Super Rugby kicks off in February. Wellington hosting Bay of Plenty. Up the Steamers. How about that? What a fun week to look forward to. Rugby is thriving and doing so beautifully because of all of us. Full stop. We're great. Go Rugby. All right. Now, thank you for joining me, Big Mike, here at Big Mike Sports on the Rugby Roundup. And please, from the bottom of my heart, have a beautiful week and watch some beautiful rugby.